Hi, I am Professor She Yuet Song. I wish to bring forward to everyone an endogenous method to save our lives from the threatening of cardiac and cerebral vascular diseases. Cardiac and cerebral vascular diseases caused mishaps, heart attacks and stroke in particular, have been #1 killer of all time before the pandemic. Bear in mind, however, that the pandemic will subside eventually. But the threat of cardiac vascular diseases posed to all patients are some never-ending stories. Firstly, it is very important that we all need to make it a point from the beginning to prevent heart and vascular issues. Secondly, all existing patients must increase nitric oxide in the body to prevent the conditions from worsening. Nitric oxide, or NO, in short, is medically known as a life savior for heart problems. Today, we will see how we can produce nitric oxide from using this device, or through the endogenous way in scientific terms. A growing range lists of risk factors for atherosclerosis such as hypertension, heart failure, stroke, smoking, diabetes, Parkinson, insomnia or even pulmonary diseases are associated with the diminishing nitric oxide, or NO, in the arterial wall. It is believed that the discovery of nitric oxide for cardiovascular diseases are the greatest medicines in the modern medical history. It is also said that if men can prevent the loss of nitric oxide in the body, we can then prevent heart attacks and stroke. Nitric oxide, NO, is the most important signaling molecule delivering oxygen and blood to the brains. Nitric oxide has the most distinguished function as a vasodilator, which relaxes the inner muscles of our blood vessels, allowing the vessels to widen. Thus increases oxygen intakes, blood flow and lower down blood pressures. The questions here are, how can the body produce nitric oxide? With heart attacks and stroke being on all-time #1 killer list, it is quite obvious that medications, supplements or diets pattern are not reliable in preventing the problems from getting worse. The only assurance that nitric oxide is produced in our body is through the time whenever arterial oxygen concentration is reduced or when our body is in the state of hypoxia or ischemia. Under the situation, nitric oxide is produced automatically to function as a major signaling and effector molecule, mediating the body's response to hypoxia. This also defines why that the severity of a heart attack and a stroke actually decides by the degree of nitric oxide the body can produce at the time of the attack. In short, how well a person perform in a vascular infarction, stroke or during and after a heart surgery, namely the reperfusion, will decide largely on how much nitric oxide the body has in the time of urgency. Please be reminded that a man's arteries are as old as his age. While nitric oxide decreases every minute, our body do not stop responding to or needing it on the other hand. This is more or less tell us why cardiac and vascular issues, include stroke, have always been all-time #1 killer. This device I have here is a nitric oxide generator. It generates nitric oxide through training up the body to produce nitric oxide during ischemic or hypoxia. During the ischemia preconditioning training, the body will encounter regular production of nitric oxide in the body, through our endothelial cells, which have immense power to dilate the congested vessels, manifest collateral circulation, improve mechanism of the microcirculation or the capillaries. The more nitric oxide the body can produce, the more bradykinin we will have for the better performance of capillaries, especially in delivering oxygen and nutrients to all tissues and cell, while picking up carbon dioxide which needed to be eliminated. This is a very important function, especially with diabetes who frequently experience microcirculation disorder. As the condition of congested blood vessels improve, problem with insulin resistance will reduce accordingly over time. This goes the same with all microcirculation disorder caused health problems like hoarseness, eye diseases, carotid artery obstruction, erectile dysfunction, varicose veins, swellings or skin diseases. The increase of adenosine along with the making of nitric oxide also help many with problems of sleeping or insomnia. Adenosine acting in the basal forebrain is a key mediator of sleep homeostasis. Adenosine binds to its receptor, thus facilitates sleep and dilates the blood vessels, to ensure good oxygenation during sleep. Nitric oxide works as a retrograde neurotransmitter in synapses, thus allow more blood flow to the brain, and it has important roles in intracellular signaling to the neuronal metabolic status. Nitric oxide is thought to function as a neuromodulator role in the olfactory system. with aging that affect the presence of many vascular risk factor causes. Nitric oxide to decrease or diminish consistently, have also caused the growing number of metabolic dysfunction or neurodegenerative diseases such as dementia, Alzheimer, cerebral dystrophy, loss of memory or Parkinson. In addition, nitric oxide is a gas that improves blood flow, oxygen and air in the lung area, which can post antiviral effect under the extreme stress during a lung failure. This device, the PST node generator, was invented after many 10 years of research and study, since the discovery of nitric oxide and heart diseases. This device provides a 100% accuracy of generating nitric oxide in our body through the manifestation of hypoxia and ischemia. It is the safest and most genuine method to produce nitric oxide, not only that to fight cardiac and cerebral vascular diseases, but to replenish the loss of nitric oxide in our body, so that our body can have nitric oxide to function properly and normal. There is nothing more assured to have nitric oxide back in our body than using the PST nitric oxide generator. MOB PST nitric oxide generator work on a ischemia preconditioning system which force nitric oxide to be produced under the training. The frequent production of nitric oxide will put our health back on track in addition to preparing for emergencies like heart attack, stroke or pulmonary fibrosis. Get yourself a MOB PST nitric oxide generator the soonest you could. We will be stronger, younger, more radiant and alert simply because our body is replenished with the most important vasodilator, nitric oxide.